minutes, and it went viral thereafter. Now, this tweet wasn't real news put out by the Associated Press. In fact, it was false news or fake news that was propagated by Syrian hackers that had infiltrated the Associated Press Twitter handle. Their purpose was to disrupt society, but they disrupted much more because automated trading algorithms immediately seized on the sentiment on this tweet and began trading based on the potential that the President of the United States had been injured or killed in this explosion. And as they started tweeting, they immediately sent the stock market crashing, wiping out $140 billion in equity value in a single day. A recent study by Oxford University showed that in the recent Swedish elections, 1/3 of all of the information spreading on social media about the election was fake or misinformation. In addition, these types of social media misinformation campaigns can spread what has been called genocidal propaganda. For instance, against the Rohingya in Burma, triggering mob killings in India. We studied fake news and began studying it before it was a popular term. We found that false news diffused further, faster, deeper, and more broadly than the truth in every category of information that we studied, sometimes by an order of magnitude. And in fact, false political news was the most viral. It diffused further, faster, deeper, and more broadly than any other type of false news. There are different paths that we can follow to try and address some of these very difficult problems today. We can think about algorithms and machine learning, technology devised to root out and understand fake news, how it spreads, and to try and dampen its flow. Humans have to be in the loop of this technology because we can never escape that underlying any technological solution or approach is a fundamental ethical and philosophical question about how we define truth and falsity. To whom do we give the power to define truth and falsity, and which opinions are legitimate, which type of speech should be allowed, and so on. Technology is not a solution for that. Ethics and philosophy is a solution for that. We have to be vigilant in defending
the MD of Asset Management Company, past presidents, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you by this short clip about technology and the times we are in. It's talking about fake news. But it's not just about fake news. There's something he said about the problem and the solution. And the solution is not just technology. The solution is philosophy and ethics. And we, as Surveyors today, are taking the captions for this annual assembly to see how technology innovation will affect our lives and those of our public here and in the future. We are an evolving profession, actually a very restless one. Because the conservation profession is one profession that has done in almost all parts. In engineering, in technology, in law, in accounting, in economics, and in other things. So, because of the nature of our profession, we need to really measure up to the times. But what will take us forward is not our ability to just be conscious to solve problems, but our ability to be pragmatic enough to be able to cope with challenging times. So I want to use the opportunity to welcome Honorable Minister for honoring this event, and also the Minister of Communication for also supporting the activity. You'll be surprised that the MD of AMCOM is one of our special guests. assets that are toxic. We want to be part of the filter to ensure that we move the country forward. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my own is to welcome you and also to introduce the heading for today's program. Yesterday we had papers delivered. One was by a surgeon who was guiding us into dialoguing with the public. After him, a gentleman from the Oracle came also and gave us a talk, and our own academic also spoke to us. Today, after the official ceremony, the MD of Shelter Africa will come and also talk to us, Over Shelter, sorry, will come and talk to us about the effect of this on an entrepreneur in the construction industry, technology, innovations, opportunities, and challenges. Then, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all. I sincerely hope we benefit from this interaction. Honorable Minister, you are welcome.
Houghton, I call it custom. A round of applause once again for Mr. President. I would please like to recognize the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Ibrahim Issa Ali Pantami, who is here represented by Professor Mohammed Bello Abubakar, who in himself is the MD, Galaxy Blackbone Limited. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I would like to recognize the presence of our very own, ever-looking, beautiful past president of the Nigerian so-called Surveyors. We call her Mama. QS Messi Yota is here with us. Good morning, ma. All right. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. And to give that message on his behalf is going to be Professor Mohammed Bello Abubakar. A round of applause for the Prof as he comes up with the message.
The distinguished Honorable Minister of State, Works, representing the Honorable Minister of Works, the President of QSRBN, the Vice President of QSRBN, the Managing Director of Asset Management Company of Nigeria, AMCON, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to extend the Honorable Minister's apology for being not able to be here with you this very important event due to some unforeseen circumstances that prevented him from being here. We would have loved to be here with you, but then because of the importance, the value he has for this particular event, he asked that I should come and represent him. And here I am for that. The Honorable Minister has prepared a presentation that is a goodwill message for this August gathering. And as a messenger, what I will only simply do is just to read what he has prepared. And it reads thus. It is indeed a great pleasure to be invited as a special guest at this auspicious annual assembly of registered quantity surveyors of Nigeria to give a goodwill message. Quantity survey is among the very few skilled professions in the construction industry and an employer profession of its own merit in Nigeria.
Nigeria today has a population of about 200 million, from which 60%, that is about 120 million, is of the young age, that is between 18 to 40 years. Most of this young population depends on the government for them, with millions graduating from our educational institutions year in, year out as certificate qualified potential employees. Yet, the jobs are not available. This is the root cause of several social vices that affects Nigeria at the moment. Therefore, what Nigeria needs today are skilled professions that can produce employers capable of employing others rather than employees. And quantity survey is such a profession. The ministry I am a servant to has transformed through different names from Ministry of Information and Communications between 1999 to 2010, the Ministry of Communications Technology in 2011, and renamed Ministry of Communications in 2015. The Nigerian Federal Executive Council adopted the rename of the ministry to Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy on the 23rd October 2019 to align the ministry to the modern-day global ICT revolution. The wisdom behind renaming the ministry to Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy is to improve revenue generation for Nigeria and create many digital jobs for Nigeria in line with His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari's GCFR commitment to lift out of poverty 100 million Nigerians within the scope of 10 years. ICT will play a fundamental role in this place, in addition to also other professional organizations like QS, who are rather professions that can put into the society a skilled human resource. Therefore, our vision in the ministry is to create and formulate policies that will propel the Nigerian economy to a digitalized economy that will transform Nigeria into a leading digital economy, providing quality of life and digital economies for all. This cannot be achieved if Nigeria limits itself to producing potential employees instead of potential employers. The world is now fast changing and places premium on skills than certificates. The drive to produce skilled ecosystem that will digitalize the Nigerian economy will be achieved through the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy 2020 to 2030, unveiled by Mr. President at the 2019 E-Nigeria Conference Exhibition and Awards. I will therefore employ you individually and collectively to leverage on this very important document that will provide guidelines on how you will digitalize the quantity survey profession to align with the global trend. Mr. Chairman, permit me to once more thank the organizers of this event for inviting me to give a goodwill message. I pray that you have fruitful deliberations and robust outcome for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians. Thank you.
So many great things concerning digital. I can't remember the last time I saw so many. For another good news message, please permit me to welcome the gentleman I introduced earlier, the Managing Director, Asset Management Company of Nigeria, Mr. Hamad Kuru, for his goodwill message.
Actually, if you see the program, I'm actually smuggled into the program. I apologize for the imposition, but I find it very apt that I should also have the opportunity to see one of the things. It's always good to see professionals come together now and then to discuss issues that affect the profession, particularly quantity surveying in Nigeria is very important. You work closely with engineers so that building or civil, and we've seen quite a lot of property going down all over the place. And I'm sure one way or the other, some of us here have something to contribute to see that such things are avoided or mitigated in the future. Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, like you all know, we are just an intervention agency created as a result of.
And I do hope we all get the point. Thank you very much, sir. That was spot on. Ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to welcome for the last goodwill message you have today, the President, Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, QS Muhammad Habator. A round of applause for him. A fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Honorable Minister of State for Works and Housing, Engineer Abubakar D. Halim.
I'm here on behalf of my colleague who holds the senior portfolio of the ministry. His Excellency Baba Tunde Raji Washala. I have his speech with me here, which I'm going to read on his behalf. Before I do that, let me extend his goodwill to the organizers, leadership, and to all of you seated here. He has another engagement at the villa, so couldn't be here. He asked me to come and present him. Before I go to the speech, let me first of all clarify some issues raised by the anchor man who came here to deliver goodwill, which the sermon and preaching and very well thought out speech he made. I want to clarify that Gombe View Road is a subsisting contract, which, like other road contracts in the Northeast, is having a problem. One, due to the insurgency there, the contractor couldn't perform as required. It has issues with explosives, enable him go and quarry, blast and get crushed stones because of the restriction placed on the acquiring explosives by the military. You know what it means when you have explosive freely going on in the Northeast. Could easily be ending up with the bad guys. So, but we have sorted that out for him. He ought to be distributed over other projects due to various interests. And a certain project will be having just the way you mentioned, little amount of money, which the contractor, when seeing it, he will reduce his output. So we have been talking a lot on that, and we are almost solving the situation, because people have started to understand the need to come together and work together. It's everyone's responsibility. It's not our own alone. Just some few days ago, a representative in the Senate was in our office. We had roundtable discussions. He came with some other stakeholders from the zone. So we asked them to identify, in these circumstances that we are having, let them identify the most critical roads rather than spreading so much money all over. Let them identify the most critical. Let's take them one by one. When we do this, we move to another. So we are working on I believe the contractor will soon fire on and move the project. He has two projects there. One will be View, then View Mazda. When you move from View to Mazda, that is the border from Borno and Yobe through Buniadi. The Yobe government had finished the construction of Buniadi, which is the Mazda to Damaturu, which is about 50-something kilometers. Then the remaining portion, which is in Borno State, is the one handled by this contractor, which is not working. I think it's just about 2.something% there. Then the Gombe view is around 14% completed. So we are talking on that so that he can carry the two. By the time he's able to finish the Mazda, it will ease off the travel time that Borno people suffer before they from Maiduguri to View, when they have to pass through Gombe. This one will become as equal to Maiduguri passing through View, Demboa to View, which is almost the same distance. That's Maiduguri through View, through Bunia. So we're working on that. And I want to also say that Nigerians, someone cannot be bad entirely. Yes, we have some that we have declared really, really bad people, but we cannot all be bad people. We do things bad, we do bad things, and some of us do many bad things, but that does not make us bad people. So I just wanted to add there that Nigerians do bad things, and they do it more often now than before. When you mentioned when we were younger, when we attended public schools, and leadership is not only the president. You cannot bring a Ghanaian or a Togolese or a Nigerian or an European or an American to come and be president in Nigeria. It has to be from Nigeria. He has to be a Nigerian. He has to be someone among us here. I can see many potentials here. So, leadership.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Great. As a lot of brothers here as quantity surveyors, I would like to reintroduce myself, the Honorable Minister, that I'm also a QS, and it's part of diversification and construction entrepreneur that have brought me to where I am. So, I'm called Chairman, sir. I'm a QS. We can do things together, just for the record. All right, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly we need to wrap up, but please allow me to introduce here accompanied by the MD of Urban Shelter Limited, Ajia Sadia Ali, who is also here with us. Nigeria for his vote of thanks, after which we're going to have the pictures together with invited guests. A round of applause for the Vice President.
Special guest of honor, the Minister for Works and Housing, Babatunde Brady Fashola, was represented here by Engineer Abubakar Diadir. We want to thank you very much for your speech to us. I met with Engineer Liu at the waiting room before he came into the hall. And you get to see from himself the Ancom MD and all the other special guests we have here. Of very serious work that goes into headhunting of people who rule over us. Sometimes it's only when you get to meet an inner person that you get to understand a lot of work goes into doing that. Honorable Minister for State, we thank you very much for your presence here. Please take our best wishes to the Minister, Mr. Fashola. He's my friend and brother. I will thank you once again for being here. May I also thank our special guests. Firstly, the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy was very ably represented by Professor Mohammed Abubakar. I know it's MD of some big organization, but I didn't quite get it. Professor Mohammed, we thank you very much for the goodwill message. It's very, very well received. Thank you. Mr. Ahmed Kuru, it's been a great pleasure for me personally to have met you. And I'm sure I'll speak to mind President of the Board and all committees of the here present too, for emphasizing the importance of integrity in all that we do. I think that you couldn't have said it better. We thank you for your presence. I'd like to keep this vote of thanks very, very short. I want to thank all of the other special guests we have here, past presidents, and here we have Big Brother and Mrs. Yote, the president of NIQS, and I'm sure a few more guests that we're going to have talking to us much later. Thank you.
A big thank you to the Vice President, Consultation of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a group photograph with the dignitaries. If you all please rise. The honorable ministers, if you please walk off stage here. The President, the Vice President, the President NIQS, the AMCOM Chairman, past Presidents also here in our list. Join. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for this gentleman here. A round of applause for them. Beautiful. 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 Okay, thank you. Thank you. You can have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we go into that next session, we have to officially close this session. So let's rise for the national anthem, so we can just put our hands to the opening ceremony. National anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please. And let's clap as the Honorable Minister takes his leave. Thank you, Mr. Minister. As he's living with his brothers.
According with this, anything that anything. Doctor Nigerian Nigerian
Okay, give us two.
Doctor.
Gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be invited here today to speak on this noble assembly of registered quantity surveyors and allied professionals. My sincere appreciation to the President and the organizers of this event for the recognition given to my person as well as to my company, Avashal Car Limited. I think it's an interesting topic about entrepreneurs in the construction industry, technology, innovation, opportunities and challenges. I'm not sure if I am qualified to speak, in all honesty. And I'll tell you why. Who is an entrepreneur? It's a big word. That could mean many things. There was a time when you had to be a businessman to be called an entrepreneur. Clearly, it's no longer the case. And any person, or a group of persons for that matter, who have an idea of how to satisfy a particular need. This need may be for a product, or it may be for a service. And when you have to pay for it, then it's a business entrepreneur. in whatever field. But you can be an entrepreneur by being able to identify a need, being able to marshal the resources required to satisfy that need. You may not be involved. You are still an entrepreneur. The critical thing that every entrepreneur must meet, whether it is in business or simply in society, is the ability to meet costs. If that entrepreneur or that group of entrepreneurs cannot achieve that, then the whole enterprise or the business is going to disappear. So an entrepreneur must by definition be able to cost recover. Otherwise it's not a business. And for a business, not only must he cost recover, he must in fact generate profit. And for most entrepreneurs, and myself not excluded, that is the reason why we're entrepreneurs. We have identified a need, have marshaled the people, professionals like you and I, to be able to meet that need, to deliver it in the time, in the quality, and within the price that is acceptable to clients. Notice, it is not that you simply have to think about it. It's not simply that you have to identify the idea. It's that you have to put that mix of resources and to deliver, and to satisfy the need and to get somebody to pay for it. That, at least, is the definition of business entrepreneur. Now, a construction entrepreneur, like I told you, I'm not exactly sure what that word is. An entrepreneur I have defined well, and I've always known. I suppose a construction engineer here would be somebody who marshals construction elements and then delivers a product that somebody wants. And in this case, this will include people like me who build houses and sell, but also the many individuals in this Nigeria, and they form a majority, who are contractors, who put things together to deliver a service or to deliver a product to only one buyer, and that is the government. Until quite recently, in fact, the great majority of people who you can describe as construction entrepreneurs are in fact contractors. But they are entrepreneurs because they have identified goods and services that somebody wants to pay for. In this case, governments of the various levels in the federation, local, state, and federal. Technology in construction, at least in Nigeria, given my experience, and I think I've been around for quite a bit, does not seem to change very rapidly. I don't know whether you have observed. At least in terms of material used in the industry. In Nigeria, it is not as safe to say that change has been glacial, as gradual as a glacier. There has not been a revolution in the way my company ever shut up, or for that matter, any company carries its own construction, not much of a difference that it did when it opened its doors to business in 1991. I can say the same for most companies in the construction industry. The same bricks, the same cement, the same stones, the same iron rods, the same tiles, slight changes in scaffolding perhaps. The rest of the industry is not significantly different. But prospects in the future are all different. Developments in digital and computer technology make change and innovation inevitable, and adoption of new technologies inescapable. Life was easier for many of us at that time. You got yourself a good degree. You are assured of a good car to drive. You are even assured of a 2-3 bedroom house to live in the GRA of your state. And then, to add all of this, you then got a loan to build your house from government at 3% rate of interest. About 5,000. Naira, by the way, not even pounds. And proceeded to build a 4-bedroom house. Not only did I accomplish it, I had change to roam around in town with a balance. And believe it or not, I enjoyed doing it. I think my arithmetic was very good. The fundamental to any construction is to be able to do your figures. But I don't think I should tell that to quantity surveyors who work not only with figures, but points of figures thereof. You an accountant, not only do you talk of a building in billions of naira, millions of naira, hundreds of thousands of naira, thousands of naira, hundreds of naira, nairas, and then 0.67 kobo. Can you believe that? So, at any rate, I think my mixed rate is certainly not as good as that of a quantity surveyor, but good enough. I enjoyed doing what I did, build with my house, produce a product I think that everybody thought they liked, certainly including myself. And once that was accomplished, I said, if ever I have to be a business, I never thought of it. I know what to do. It's accidental, like I said. I set out to be a public servant among one, and on the whole I was, reaching the position of permanent secretary, managing director of NIDB before retiring. And then went on to run for the governorship of my state, Niger. Luckily, I got disqualified. I had the option to go back to the powers that be on their opposition. And I assure you, I wasn't lacking the influence to so do. But I took the option to live my dream. Set up urban shelter, this was 1991, and went on straight to build houses. Urban shelter came into operation, like I said, as a result of this disqualification. To be a contractor was never under consideration. The plan was then and still is to build the best houses we can and to sell property, not to rent. I'm an economist, and anybody who knows anything about inflation, any entrepreneur in housing or in construction who is unlikely to be interested in building houses for rent. The economics simply would not work. I hope I'm not letting my secret out and getting too much competition in the process. But it's a fact. When we started back in 1991, I do not remember one single company that is in this line of business. Most of the people who are involved in housing were governments and government organizations, housing corporations, they were called. It was a plus for a new competitor, and also there is a minus. The minus is that governments are not given to price in their things well. Invariably, government thinks cheaper than they ought to. And the more you know them, or the more they know you, the higher the probability that they will sell it cheapest. So we have houses for sale, but the prices the government were taking for houses that are similar were much lower. How therefore do you compete? And that, in my view, at this time, was the biggest threat to somebody a contraction. Our approach was to study our customers better, to produce a product they want, and above all else to be timely about its production. You can get a house from the Federal Housing Authority, but can you guarantee when you are going to get it? It certainly will be cheaper, but you cannot guarantee when or even if it will be available. How many people here, I know quite a few are much younger, so you probably will be buying your houses from the harbor shelters and co. But the older folk around here, I'm sure there are some people whose monies are stuck in one housing corporation or the other because you have paid a deposit and they have not yet delivered. And that's the plus side. We could deliver on time. There are 200 million people looking for houses. Part of them had the money, and therefore we had the opportunity. And things went well. We have come a long way, despite all the problems associated. We've been an entrepreneur in this industry. Today I'm proud to say we have built and delivered to the satisfaction of our customers no less than about 10,000, not houses, but homes. And as you all know, there are a lot of characters there offering houses. No, we go out of our way to build a house physically that you can create to make a home. Now, one thing I want to draw your attention to, we talk about the opportunities that technologies provide. We talk about innovations in the construction industry. Yes, there have been quite a few of them. I have formed the view that there are not really many. I have formed the view, however, that moving forward there could be many. Not so much in terms of material, but in terms of processes, which I will come to. And generally, when you come to consider technology, or you come to consider an innovation, the decision is not technical. The decision is economic. Those of you who know economics know what is called opportunity cost. It is a concept that is constantly in use by any entrepreneur. Should I use more people? Should I deploy that machinery which costs 10 billion naira to buy? Or should I do it another way? It's all about satisfying the needs of a client. And you see, I form the view that the major reason why new innovations, new technologies have not had to be deployed in Nigeria is because of the macroeconomic situation of this country. When you have a population of 200 million, and this population, by the way, is growing at 2.6% annually. And unfortunately now you have a rate of growth of no more than 2.3%. The abundant things that are available in Nigeria today are people. There are too many of us around. Does it make sense, therefore, to deploy a technology that is going to cost you a lot of money when a few of your friends can be employed and may do the same job almost as well? And this, in my view, has been the history of this country, the construction industry in this country. The rate of growth in the economy has not been fast enough. The population growth has been going too high. And therefore, human labor, relatively speaking to any entrepreneur, looks cheaper to achieve the objective than deploying new technology new methods or new materials most of the time. And I do not think this is going to change. Don't expect something dramatic. The macroeconomics of the matter and the price relativities, in my view, does not augur well for the adoption of new technologies in this country faster. The list for me, 70 years old plus, operating in this economy of 2.3% rate of growth and 6.6% growth of we human beings, the decision is easy. I'm in no hurry to adopt new technologies. I am right in there, bricks, mortar, and mason. We are going to need them for quite a few more years to come. Of course, I'm not aware of new and emerging technologies, many of them relating to processes which will be helpful. Some of them have the potential to be quite disruptive. I'm sure everyone has heard perhaps some excitement about something called 3D printing construction. By the way, I made all the efforts I can to physically see 3D construction in place. I have not succeeded. Has anyone seen 3D construction? Maybe I'm not alone. It's all over the place. Nobody can read about emerging technologies in construction without reading the potential of what it can do. I understand that in Dubai, the systems have been deployed. So is the case in Russia and in China. Unfortunately for the young man who came to advertise the process so that I can buy the mushroom from him, I said, well, I do go to all of these places. Tell me where, and I will look at them. I guess he whistled out a little, and I dropped the topic. But one thing is clear. I know, or at least I've seen pictures of 3D construction, and it is very clear that this, when it eventually comes into this country, can be very disruptive for this industry. In terms of the minimum number of people it will require to produce the product. In a population where if there is anything we desire, it is how to employ the many. In terms of the capital needs that it requires, in terms of the integration that it requires, because it is all about putting things off building site, bringing them within the building site, locking them up together, and saying you will put your house up in 15 days or shorter. This really is a threat, but it's also an opportunity. And like I said, for the construction entrepreneur, the decision for me is always easy. I do not owe this process of decision making to engineers. I owe it to learn the economic side of my life. I put all the sums together. If it is cheaper to employ Nigerians, I'll do so. And I'll never look at 3D technology. If 3D technology makes it much easier for me to do things cheaper so that I can provide the house to my client cheaper and better, then yes, it becomes an opportunity. Most of the processes in the horizon regarding changes in technology as far as construction is concerned have more to do not so much with materials, but rather with process. That is the principle of doing it better, the principle of doing it faster, the principle of doing it larger and bigger and more and therefore cheaper. I have heard, in fact seen, in that one not just heard, the use of mobile technology in construction, the deployment of drones. And right in here, I know a few companies that are already using drones. Our shelter isn't. I looked at the arithmetic and decided that two young chaps, sometimes riding their machines and going to site, and coming back with their pictures, the pictures of my site in their small cameras, which I can then discuss with them, is a more effective way of doing things than deploying a drone. How many people in the industry here have used a drone to monitor their sites? Are there any? You have. Well, maybe I could talk with him on how he decided on drones. Apart from the fact that you say, I'm using drones to deploy to look at my site. On the whole, like I said, when I looked at it, I decided no, drones may be for later, but I've got too many HND graduates who can do the job just as well. I would rather employ them.
I'm sure you're well aware that population is very, very, very much untrained. Time was when we trained a lot of technicians, we trained bricklayers, we trained carpenters, we trained a lot of people. Today we are relying on our West African brothers to come and do these things for us, especially in the Lagos area, thinking about these areas. But you find that we have a population that is likely unproductive. Almost all they can do is Okada. Even those who trained before as carpenters, as artisans and things, are all abandoning all of that and getting into tricycle riding or caravan. What can we do to begin to address this?
We haven't done many practices about sample and then finish houses. But when I talk about 10,000 houses, I'm talking about houses built, delivered, and ready to sleep in. Not the foundations and not the blocks. We've done sites and services, like I said, Kaduna, Mina. I thought Senegal was fantastic. But it's one of the few times when I made a decision regarding property development and it didn't go so well. So we tried everything. What is critical, like in any business, in appreciation of what the customer wants at a given time. Clearly, the last 2 years have been challenging for many property developers because disposable incomes have either stagnated or they have fallen. And what therefore that has meant is looking at your designs, paring away unnecessities and offering prices competitively. But on the whole, it's been okay. Yes, people are a resource, a major resource. But if you do not develop them the way they ought to be developed, they are a liability. Like clearly it is becoming in a significant part of Nigeria.
Urban shelter and also his daughter. It's just such wonderful that knowledge is being passed down from generation to generation. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you. I want to just welcome the president of QSRBN to do the presentation to him for honoring us today. So please.
So like I said earlier, we're truly thankful for the time you take to put something down in our honor. This is a gathering we have once a year. And this year, we are honored with your presence and also sharing your wisdom. And I pray that we shall benefit from it as a small token, we want to present this to you so you can remember that we appreciate your presence here. Thank you, sir.
A round of applause. Thank you. Joining the picture. Past President, please. Please is an honor. Please join. Join. I thought you were referring to me as a past president.
Your time never reached.
Now I'm saying the present. Oh.
Thank you.
Okay. On the agenda, but please permit me to say quickly, we're going to go for our tea break shortly. The invited guests, special guests, board members, and National Executive Council members.
Well done, sir. Thank you very much. Excellent. How are you, sir? I just sleeping.
We believe there are mismatch between the value proposition being presented to the public and the perception of the public on what is it exactly we are competent and proficient to do in terms of meeting expectations of customers. Now, while getting set for us to embark upon the rebranding exercise and launch the rebranding roadmap hopefully in April during the first national workshop slated to take place in Kaduna, we brought in a consultant, a renowned rebranding consultant, to guide us through the processes in such a way that the rebranding forms the major plank of our strategies of meeting and surpassing customers' requirements. You have fast-moving technological advancement, customer needs and requirements are changing, and also globalization issues are staring at us, more particularly as we continue signing MOU with international organizations outside the country. As much as they will open their doors for us to take advantage and practice elsewhere in their domains, sooner or later that request will also come towards our direction and we cannot block it. So then, what do we do to reposition ourselves in such a way that even if they come, we should be able to match such level of proficiency and competency wherever it may come from. So the rebranding is being supported by 3 programs, or it's resting on 3 tripods. First, advocacy visits, which we have started, and strategically being spread out. There are a number of media houses and organizations of government to be visited during this first quarter of 2020. Now, the cycle will now be repeated during the second, third, and fourth quarter in that order. So it is strategic for us to keep on doing that so that the level of visibility will be sustained. Also, in marketing, you don't start a marketing effort and obstructing midway. Then, by the time you are going to revisit it, you have to invest all over again. So in order to avoid that, we have strategic approach to marketing and promotion efforts. The second leg is for us to embark upon capacity building efforts happening within and outside the country, so that we should not have that false belief that we are doing very well, whereas compared to other organizations, perhaps we are down there. So we have to benchmark where we find that we are above them, we should be able to celebrate. But where we are far behind, then it calls for concerted efforts for us to move up and meet the performances of our peers and sister organizations within and outside the country. in doing all of this, rebranding presupposes that we have to embrace performance and measurement strategy, so that whatever we do, we should be able to track and then record movements being done. We should be able to say we are making progresses statistically based on data of this and that, and then where we need to improve, we should be able to take decisions based on facts and data available to us. So in order to prepare the rebranding consultants, we have our people who are in the field carrying out studies in order to determine what are the expectations of members of the general public, and then thereafter make it available for them to serve as the baselines of customer expectations. So that will now be followed through by a quarterly evaluation of their own efforts and look at the movement towards positive direction of the rebranding and marketing efforts. So that is why we have to engage them, and ourselves and them will now sit together and carry out reviews at every quarter until we now get to the promised land. But so far, the signals are positive, and the effort is to dovetail to its launching in Kaduna during the April workshop. Very, very soon, we will now make available the details of the workshops later for Kaduna, and all of you are invited to attend that very, very important and impactful workshop. Now it is on project management, project and contract management, now benchmarking international best practices. We want to showcase to the country what are the best ways of managing projects, not only within, but then outside the country. So that's the way to go, and this is just to whet your appetite and get set for the event that will now take place in April. Invitation will go out to all, and we defer circulation of the workshop details in order for the QSRBN event assembly to take place, because that is the understanding between NIQS and QSRBN. We have to plan the first quarter of every year for QSRBN to finish the assembly. Then thereafter, we can now take a cue from their own main theme and then drive it forward. Both on our side and with total support and cooperation of all of you, NIQS will be repositioned to deliver services to our customers. Finally, before I leave, I want us, all of us, jointly and individually, to appreciate the efforts made by all our past leaders, past presidents, and elders of this profession. They have done so much to such an extent that while driving corporate governance principles, there is hardly any decision that may be taken in NIQS that you wouldn't be able to lay your hands on already prepared documents, either in terms of constitution, bylaws, strategic action plan, or staff handbook. Everything is available. So that credit has to go to our elders who really worked hard and toiled to deliver a viable organizations into our own hands. Then the duty of all of us seated here is now to build upon that and take it to the next level, to the glory of ourselves, our families, and also the nation. Now, at this point, I will now yield the floor to the branding consultant to come and give us perhaps about 10 minutes video show of what we intend to do, where we are currently, and then where we are supposed to be as we keep on evaluating our progresses during the year. Thank you so much. It is my honor and privilege to invite the rebranding consultants to come and make their presentations. Thank you very much.
Limited, a brand management consultancy based here in Abuja. I wanted to come and speak, so I came prepared to speak. So without a presentation, because I was just prepared to give us an update on where we are. But that notwithstanding, the President has laid the foundation already for why we are doing this. Any organization that has grown to a certain stage in its life comes to a pivotal moment where it has to reassess and reevaluate itself. Are we making the right decisions? Are we having the right value propositions for the time and the season that we're in? Are we competitive enough for the new challenges that confront us? Is the public assessing the right kind of services from us, or are we putting forward the right kind of services? So it was at that point that the President decided to engage media reach to come in. Now, what we've been doing so far, the first step in every rebranding exercise is first of all carry out a brand audit. And from the minute we were engaged, we immediately got down to that task. Why do we need to do a brand audit? First and foremost, there are different aspects to a brand. You have the brand's personality, what it is that you do, what it is that you offer, how it is that you do what you do. That is the personality of the brand. Then you have the visual, which is what people see, which triggers recollection, which triggers recognition. So we have to look at these together. What is the strategy that the NIQS is using to engage its public? Are the strategies of the last 50 years still apt and relevant for the next 50? What kinds and levels of services do they expect to find in Nigeria? So that's why we're trying to benchmark against global standards. So that when we say this is the NIQS, this is how we operate, these are the quality surveyors in Nigeria, this is how they operate, it should be at a level that everyone across the globe finds something, a meeting point. We should not operate below that standard. So we are taking that as a yardstick. The second part that we moved into already is the competitive analysis. And what we try to look at is we are benchmarking the NIQS against other professional organizations in the country. People access different professional services and they expect either we are operating at the same level as our peers or better. So we are looking at, for instance, how does the NBA operate? What are the value propositions of the NBA to the public? How do the architects operate? What are the value propositions of the architects to the public? The same goes for the NSE and the NIESB. We have taken all of these, we are looking at it across a wide range of points in terms of what's the value, how do they operate, how are they communicated to the public. If, for instance, the NBA, the NSE, the NIESB are always in the media, maybe once every month, are we also that visible? And if we are visible, what are the things that people get to know us for? What is the content of that visibility? So we are benchmarking against all of this so that by the time we come up with a roadmap, what we intend to do in the NIQS should put us far and above all that other people will be doing. So these two particular steps we've already commenced to work on. And we should be wrapping up by next week and submitting a report, both in the brand audit and for the competitive analysis. Based on what we've discovered from the brand audit, we've actually gone ahead to start to work on coming up with suggestions that apply to both the value proposition that applies to the essence, how the procedures of the NIQS work, as well as the visuals. What are the things that people see that they recognize the NIQS? We started work on those already. But that is two parts of the project. This is the insight phase. We're trying to derive insight to help us determine where we should go. But when we have decided and there's an approval and the roadmap has been launched, that is where the main work begins, and that is the appeal that I am here to make to all of us today. We are going to come to a point where we need everyone to key in to the actualization of this program. It's not going to be on slide representations anymore. It will not be in documents anymore. We are going to get to the point where we have to adopt these changes and begin to live it. That is when the true rebranding begins to take effect. All what we are doing now is the strategy phase. Honestly speaking, for me, I think this is the easy phase. When I look at the number of people here, and I know this is a fraction of the number of quantity surveyors we have in the country, I look at the need or what I'm going to need to go through to get everyone to buy into the new NIQS. If we have a new vision, how do we get everyone to adopt that vision and begin to run with it? If we have a new set of values, how do we get everyone to adopt this and begin to apply it in the course of their work? This is where the main job is, and that is the appeal that I personally would like to make today. When we get to that phase, please let us recognize that that is the determining phase for the growth, the future growth of the NIQS. How we apply the rebranding strategy that will come out of it to get that done. There is a strategy also already in place for that. It's a user adoption strategy, part of the change management phase of this project. We are going to have to work directly with Secretariat, get them to be our key champions, and then from that we trickle it down to the state chapter chairman and then to all the individual members. So that particular phase is going to come up after we launch this document. Mr. President also mentioned the media business that have begun. Whatever it is that you have decided to do as an organization, there is need for visibility outside the organization. What I talked about here is for the internal stakeholders, the internal audience. How can we communicate this to the rest of the country? Who are our consumers? So there is a strategy that deals with that. How we speak to the world about the new NIQS. The President is already doing a fantastic job beginning to whet the appetites of people that, look, there's a new thing coming. The NIQS that you knew before is growing into something bigger and better. And people are beginning to sit up and take notice. By the time we get to the phase where we launch, there's going to be a lot more media activity. And this is something that all of us will also be required to key into. So at this juncture, I would like to thank everybody for this opportunity to stand here before you. This is a project that we at Media Range have found to be quite challenging, but it's one that we have accepted heartily because it's giving us an opportunity to see a transformation in an organization. Most of the time we work with commercial, retail-based organizations, not associations and institutes. So, but this is actually a very, very interesting experiment for us. It's working even better than when you are working with commercial organizations. And I think this is something that we may, after we do this and we have learned from this, we will make this a new product. We'll be going to other institutes and telling them we did it for NIQS, so we can do it for you. So for us, we actually want this to work, and we're putting every effort to make sure it works, so that we have something to point to and say, we did this. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You will observe that the theme for this year's assembly has as one of the, you have technology, you have anything that you need to ask them with regards what this gentleman has just said. Sorry, to the stage here, the president of the QSRBN, the vice president of the QSRBN,
the branding is all, the issue of branding is all we are doing to the profession. He made a statement that, in some cases we have done well, let's not to celebrate yet. In some, we need to improve. One nice story we have is that our colleagues in the UAE and some parts of the Gulf, and our colleagues in Canada and Malaysia have not disappointed us. Sometimes last year we were in Malaysia and we signed a reciprocity with Canada at the request of Canada. Because most of our members that are now working there have given the impression that we are very good. And actually, if you are coming from Nigeria, you don't go through any screening. They pick you up straight, which means our training is very good. And our colleagues in the Gulf also are doing very well. So now they're going to recognize, once you have NIQS, they take it very seriously. So I think we have to keep raising the standards. We have to keep, not just maintain, but raising the standards and keep improving. So, and I think this forum will give us the opportunity to look at issues, because it's not us here that are the experts. Some of you on this side will certainly know much more than we do. So in the course of the interaction, we should be able to take notes and then improve on our delivery, both at NIQS and the board. Thank you very much. Anything here, just is an opposition. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first question will be why we don't have a woman on the stage. This man at the back. Please help us another microphone.
Watson again. They can come over and join us.
Chairs available. We'll have them come.
As a quantity surveyor, we are rebranding. My name is Adamu Aliyu, Mr. President, the President of KSRBN. Mine is a little call to challenge more of our leaders in a way of commending you for the type of people you are now bringing into our gathering. To me, I feel it's also a big way of rebranding. It's a big way of pushing the market. It's a big way of opening doors for quantity surveyors. So my call is for the leaders to do more of that. The owner of Urban Shelter and other invited since yesterday really shows that yes, quantity surveyors are actually trying to break some new worlds. And then it will not be too good. Each time we gather, we just recycle the same faces. You know, they'll just go front, we give them award, tomorrow recycle again. No, let's continue to see those new, people from other professions, businessmen, let's bring them up. Let's continue to do more of that. That is my little call on the leadership. Thank you.
Let me believe that the rebranding will address this question or problem. If you go outside this place and you say you are a quantity surveyor, you need to do more explanation. You don't have that problem with architects or engineers. The second one, the number here does not represent anything near what the number of registered quantity surveyors is in Nigeria. If not for induction, the number would have been less than this. We are very, very far. A few people complain that it must not always be Abuja. And I would like you to consider it. If all meetings must be in Abuja. Third and the last one. The architects derive their power from the government. No drawing, no house. So if you see any building going on without drawing, that fear alone makes them to consult the architects. The same thing, the engineer. But the one surveyor, if I pass him, he has no power at all. And sometimes, even the pass seem to do more or have more patronage than the professional. If the rebranding will take care of this, okay. If not, I am posing them as questions. Thank you very much.
We are talking of rebranding, Mr. President. We are talking of empowering our members. We are talking of how we move properly to get our member self-sustained. Just like Adamu Ali have just said, we need to make sure that we bring those active participants in the industry to believe in what we do so that by so doing, you can imagine, Mr. President, you bring Dangote here, and then Dangote comes to talk to us what a conservator does. You will have less convincing to others to patronize what you do, because Dangote has a world brand. And by so doing, we can come from maybe a reverse osmosis. Somebody that is already well known and is now telling others about what we do. Even if they forget what he has told them, they will always remember Dangote and what he talked about. And we'll move closer, like Dangote patronized Surveyors. But how much of his projects that we are involved in is just making a global impact in Lagos now? Building the largest refinery in the world. And we have link. All of you up there have a link to him. Why don't you please use your link to sell this our product, at least to Nigeria first. We have 200 million population in Nigeria. If we can get up to 10% knowing what we do, we will have achieved what we need to do. So in essence, what I'm saying, in essence, that we now know how we can package a project. But the problem is, how do you fund it? You all know how we can fund a project. Let us concentrate on getting to the steering wheel. Getting a project, getting a funders. So what remains is you determine how much you are paid. You will be paying yourself, because the project will pay you without competition, Mr. President. This is my input. Let us get those people that are big players in the industry, draw them to your side, so that we can be able to use them to market what we sell. Thank you.
The surgeon that gave us the talk at the induction gave a story about how his first contact with the conservator was awful. Until later on, when he met some other conservators, and then he became, wow, so you have really sensible, nice, competent people. So as they come and interact with us, they will also appreciate us. And we will see other dimensions to issues from other perspectives. So that's why we're bringing in people. The second thing is, Okachukwu said, who is a QS? I think I will give us an element to talk about that, because we've gone a long way on that. I think a long time ago, somewhere I did in ACQS or AAQS or in ISEC, you know, you deliver the paper on that, on even the definition of the QS. Look, a lot of people know who IQS is, but if we shy away and start writing, we will not know who QSs are. So it's not the responsibility of people here, it's our collective responsibility. But I'm sure my colleagues will add to that. The other thing is the issue of attendance. I think this is a fair level of attendance. This is the first time we're getting this number. Yes, there are there was an induction going on, about 200 of them. But I think the registration is approaching 1,000 right now. So this is far from 500 that we are achieving without it, if we take the induction out. And the truth is that we're going to take this very seriously. Last time we published the names of conservators with current license. We circulated around the MDAs. This time we're going to do that on the 1st of May. We're going to circulate the names of conservators with current licenses. But we're going to go further. We're going to also submit the name of firms that are current with their licenses and beg for patronage. We will do that. We'll write MDAs, we'll tell them these firms are, if you are going to patronize, please look from this list. The issue of Abuja, well, the board has only one location. I know the NIQS goes round. The board is still here. Because I will tell you, before the annual assembly, and I won't like to say this, but the account of the board was as low as below 1 million naira. Because the board relies on the 10,000 we pay for our license renewal, and for the little we will raise at this annual assembly after the expenditure, and we have to manage through there to pay salaries, to pay all activities, board meetings, committee meetings, and all that from this amount. So the intention was to open 6 zonal offices. In the strategic plan of the board, There is a provision to open 6 zonal offices, but we can't. That's the truth. Because we're not on budget line. Nigerian Society of Engineers and SOCON are on budget line. The other 5 bodies in the housing sector of the, built environment regulatory bodies are not on budget line. So we have to make do with the little we have. If we have extra money, we'll open offices. Probably we'll start with Lagos, probably with then another one maybe in Enugu, then we go to maybe Kano, Kaduna, or somewhere. We go around the 6 zones. But for now, the unfortunate situation is that we have only 1 office here in the country, and then so we intend to go around, but that's have to open the offices. And the issue of branding, like I said, is our collective responsibility. The board had generated a stick stamp. Now, if quantity surveyors are using the stick stamp, anytime you write, you generate a correspondence or a document, and you put your stamp, because the stamps have numbers against names. So we can track who put the stamp. So Cox will not have the stamp. Only registered quantity surveyors will have the stamp. So if you put it on correspondences, it means you also be promoting. Then we'll now move to the next stage. We can now demand that bills of quantities will only be validated when they have those stamps on them. So we have to promote it ourselves. Some people have bought the stamps from the board, but I have not seen, I'm guilty of it. I think I've hardly used mine, but most of us don't even use the stamps. That's the truth. So I think we need to go beyond the leadership. All of us should be able to promote this issue of branding. Now on Dangote, actually Dangote was supposed to be the keynote speaker in this. And until a week ago, until about 10 days ago, we were not sure that he would not come. So we got Ibrahim Aliyu, and that's why I said here that at short notice, we got him to prepare him as a backup. And we're willing that even if Dangote comes, we'll still allow him space to talk. So we have to make that arrangement. And I'll tell you, it's like like if you look at the program, it's someone like Mama Amadou of PPP, who is our own, who didn't turn up. Fortunately, Amcon gentleman came, replaced him, and so on. So sometimes people promise that they will come, but something fundamental maybe will come up, and they will not be able to make it. Let me not talk all the time. Mr. President.
Will lead us to delve into the right solution. Visibility, and then mismatch, as I said earlier, of our value proposition is critical in this sector. And we are now trying to be an analytic by going into the field to clearly study and extract what the expectations and then misconceptions are. Those are the parameters and metrics that will be presented to the brand management consultants to use in putting across the roadmap. So it means we are just trying to be as scientific as possible by going into the public and asking them what are the confusion they have on the competency, deliverables, and capacities of our profession. Once, if we are able to determine that exactly as it is, for instance, as of today, being February 2020, then we are now going to base our strategies and parameters on facts and right data. I think that is the right way to go. And it is for this reason that each time we go on visitation. So far we've done 3 impactful visitation to Executive Secretary of FCDA, the Chief of Air Staff, leadership, newspapers. In all of this, after appreciating the availability for them to receive us, we'll go straight to explain what are the roles and functions of quantity surveyors are. As mundane as you may think, most of them don't exactly understand what the functions and roles are. So all of us are in this together, that in all our micro levels, we should carry this message forward. Don't over-assume that people know what the roles and functions are. Let us continue doing it because we've not gotten there yet. There is this issue about quacks in the country. Yes, you have quacks in so many professions. We have our fair share of quacks, and effort to stamp out quackery in the profession belongs to all of us. We kept on saying that if you now notice anybody anywhere, a project is being handled by a person who is other than that qualified by NIQS and QSRBN, then you have to make use of the channels and explain and put it forward for us to take action. The QSRBN has the power inherent in the act to call them into order and prosecute them if need be. And the penalties for prosecution are also, the penalties for infractions and sanctions are also stated in the act. So let us take advantage of that, and then the fight is for all of us. It's not for the board alone, nor that of NIQS. Now there is this issue of quantity surveyors' involvement, in particular what I call the mega projects. I do have this conversation with the president of the board, that why is it that the quantity surveyors are not involved in high impact projects in this country? We are still discussing, we haven't concluded. But one of the issues for us to look at is that before quantity surveyors are brought in at planning stage to prepare bills of quantities, a lot of decisions must have taken place at the initiation level, where you have the project charter, the preliminary planning, and so on and so forth. That is where deployment of resources, including human, professional, and experts, are being decided. So we are now encouraging the firms to match to start with, and also our elders, the mature ones in the profession, to start looking towards that direction. We have to move backward from planning back to initiation, and then project charter preparation. Once if we can get it there, then we can now determine who comes on board at the planning, execution, monitoring, evaluation, and then close-out stages. It is very, very important. Finally, there is this issue about the rebranding is looking at very wide range of possibilities. Today, we are trying to pull out our successful members in the society for them to form a group called NIQS Brand Ambassadors. Past President Joseph Olusegun Ajele Koko here is the chairman and coordinator of NIQS Brand Ambassadors. They are the champions that are going to drive this rebranding process. So by the time we see them, and there are so many of them are in the military, in the traditional institutions, in politics, in civil service, and also in business. But then the stakeholder engagement component of rebranding effort will pull them out, and they have to now come back and they put back into this profession. We have to have them as champions to drag the process. We on our own part, we are seeing a lot of possibilities. What we now require from you also is to cooperate, understand, and collaborate with us. I think together we are going to make the desired change. Thank you very much.
Life for most of us. We've taken it on a long time ago, and we feel there's salvation in it. QS profession is an endangered profession, whichever way you look at it, because we deal with money, financial matters, and people don't like people who can checkmate them on financial matters. So within the built environment profession, we have a problem of moving forward, high visibility. It is that bad now that most times when you have to look at billboards of projects, the QS is not put there at all. It's worrisome. I've discussed it at Lagos chapter. They must take it up. Let's start with the Lagos State government. Most projects now, you'll see all the disciplines, but there's nothing on who the QS is. And that portends a great danger. What they are saying is that you don't need the QS for all these projects. Or perhaps we have not been able to put our feet down and say this is where we must be. It requires a lot of effort, but the visibility is where we must start from. The president of QSRBN mentioned a paper I presented in Isaac in South Africa in 2004. 2004 now is 16 years ago. And when I looked at the paper, it's still relevant today. Who QS is? What's the public perception of us? How do they see us? And we failed woefully in that because the census today still puts US as a land surveyor, even among the enlightened people. They ask, who is a quant surveyor? Because if the public cannot understand who quant surveyor is, then we have a problem. Image problem. We must solve that first. And it requires a lot of marketing. And the branding comes into focus here. And we can do a lot of things to push us to the front border. And that is, I think sometimes I look at the QS members and it's like they are timid. There's a complex being suffered by most people. And that cannot help us. This profession is the best profession among the built environment if you place yourself aright. Adamu spoke of involving more people. That we must do. We must open the frontiers, both at educational level, which we say we can put non-cognitive, let them come in. That's what accountancy is doing. That's what lawyers are doing, and that's why we have a lot of lawyers among us. You widen the base of membership, and we must accelerate it so that members, accountants can come in and become AQS. And they widen the base, the competency base. That we must do. We were trying to start a long time ago to have annual distinguished guest lecture. That's the sort of avenue where you can bring in professionals or experts in various fields to come and deliver a lecture. When you bring somebody who is not within your family into a gathering of who is who, you sell your profession. You sell the name quant surveying. And we must do that. It's something that the national body must take up. Annual distinguished guest lecture. Name it whatever. Let us call Professor Olisho Yinka of this world and so on, all the experts. And we will have, the name will resonate. It's to create a name, quant surveying, and then people will start saying these people are serious-minded people. It is a profession that must go into the international arena. We must join all the key major bodies, international bodies. But first, we must work at home to make ourselves big, relevant. We must challenge the institutions of government. We must have solutions, answers to government problems, economic problems. I just traveled last week with the chairman of the economic, Professor Salami, and I told him, I just wanted to engage in conversation. I said, you know, I've been thinking along with my surveyors. He said, you are the one we know. I said, no, we are going to have a major seminar where you will come and deliver what is the way for professionals within the economic quagmire. He was excited. He said, I want to do that. I want to talk to professionals. That is the way to entrench ourselves within the authorities. This is the chairman of the economic summit group for which the president is the chair also. And we met, he was on the way to Nairobi. And I said, I'll give him a name. I've not discussed with the president, but these are people we should catch. When we catch them and they come to talk at our forum, and it's widely publicized, QS will be making a progress. We must be the harbinger of ideas. We must generate ideas. For us to be relevant in this society, you must be in the front runner of creating ideas. It's ideas that wins people to your side. And it's something that And we're having a lot of professors. They must come to the forefront, interact with other built environment professionals. QS is a great profession. First, I must again put on the front border is that let us look at some international bodies so that we gives us a high visibility, recognition. Transparency International, let NIQS become a member of that. Once you become a member of Transparency International, nobody can push you aside. You use that to leverage, to find your way into where we should be having cost dynamism. And I think we are all worried, but with the branding, we can kickstart a whole lot of things that will push us to the front border and let the QS take the dominant, the role that can make all the young ones to become relevant. Okay.
So I would like us to address the issue regarding one of the comments that the gentleman from Hong Kong made regarding a particular project, and then you have two quantity surveyors preparing a bill, and then you have that disparity on the bill. How do we streamline such situations? That is one. Secondly, I would like to commend Madam Murtala Aliyu, the president of the QSRBN, as regards partnering with Daily Trust newspaper. We can see from yesterday till this evening, this afternoon, the collaboration we have. But sadly, sir, my observation is, after this great achievement you made, sir, I went through the paper today, and what we're having today, the General Assembly, just fell out on the 45th page of this newspaper with just a column. And we're talking about rebranding here, sir. And sadly also, the Surveyors Council of Nigeria just published the names of their newly inducted members. Sir, we must commend you from what you did last year for publishing the names of financial members that are registered with the board on one of the major dailies in Nigeria, sir. Would like also to hammer on this also so that the partnering can be more elaborate from what you achieved so that we can have something better. I'll just stop on this, sir. Thank you very much.
For Nigeria, our president, all protocol duly observed, but I will not forget quickly to also recognize Mr. our elder, Sheikh Wajan Lekoko, with whom I serve as secretary to the organizing committee who hosted the Association of Court Surveyors, Association of African Court Surveyors in 2006. And we visited our then president, Obasanjo. This same question that our members are asking today, who is a quantity surveyor, was also asked right before the president, the then president, which means it's the question that will continue to occur. That again put price on what the current president of Nigerian Surveyors is trying to do with the council, the branding quantity surveyor. Because this question will continue to be asked. Is it that we are not a brand? We are a no brand. But why rebranding if you're already a brand? These are the kind of questions you begin to ask. For me, I want to contribute to how can we enrich the current process that we are currently doing. My name is Dr. Taufik Rahimi. I believe there is a need for a stakeholder approach. We should not just leave this to the hand of the consultants alone. Members that are here, that are members who have resources to contribute in terms of knowledge and expertise, need to enrich this current document. We need to take a stakeholder approach. We need to also introduce what I would call a focus group. This focus group will assist the consultant in widening the scope of our reasoning
We need to engage with the scholars. We need to engage with the practitioners. We need input of everyone in order to make this to succeed. Lastly, only last year, I conducted a research because I'm a scholar practitioner. I practice what I research, and I research what I practice in the built environment. I noticed that only 15% of the projects in Wuse district of Abuja has consultants mentioned on them, and less than 5% has quantity surveyor imprinted on the board. I began to wonder, and part of what I discovered from my modest research is, as a researcher, is that the development control, what we call Development Control Agency in Abuja, is under FCDA. They have what they call, if you are a developer, like I am one, if you are a developer, you want to submit your drawing, part of the requirement for setting out and for approving every stage of your development is to have a project billboard. And they have a template for that billboard. I have it here. And I believe many of our members also possibly must have come across it. There is nowhere where other people who are stakeholders and participating on that project are mentioned quantity surveyors and cited. And if you come to any project and you do not see such significant professional body, ours, whom Jesus Christ, even in the Bible, saluted as the only one that can salvage the abandonment of project that we have. In Luke chapter 14, verse 28, Jesus says, and I quote, "Who is that man that want to build up a tower? He will not want to sit down and have a cost appraisal of how much it will take him to complete." Jesus says, such a person will begin, he will not end. And when the onlookers are moving about, they will mock him, they will yell him. They will say, look at the man that has started a good job, but he could not end, he could not finish it. And Jesus said, the man would have been a wise man if he had sat down to count his cost. So who then will hear this that will not know that the basis of many abandoned projects we have in Nigeria is because of the lacuna of not having quantity. So my advice again is that advocacy that has been mentioned should continue, but we should be strategic about it. And I believe, and we should also have a timeline when this document will be completed, deliverable and timeline. And at the end of the day, we will be better for it. Thank you very much.
Chairman, Data Chapter. My senior colleague, Osubo, has asked about the question I wanted to ask. But I just want to chip in one. When we came for the retreat in January, this issue of rebranding was paramount in my mind. And we were asked to cascade into the state chapters. But at the state chapter, when I was briefing them, there was a pertinent question you were asking. It may look very stupid, or foolish, but it is good for them to be addressed for everyone to carry along. They were saying, this rebranding, how is he going to put food on their table? How is he going to put food on their table? Is it going to look like putting new wines in old bottles? For instance, they give us that there are some jobs that are being handled by state, data state, and all the police of just have from Abuja here. Then the universities are afraid that it's not going to still be a case of the powerful. Now that we are going for visibility, it's not going to favor only the most powerful points of yours in practice. So these questions are very difficult to answer. And I don't know here at this forum. I feel that if you can throw more answers to them, it will be better for all of us. Thank you very much.
And thank God, NIQS has all along been a very formidable brand. But rebranding says it all. In rebranding, we want to reposition the Institute for even better service delivery. And doing that, we can assess and satisfy customer requirements. And then the whole objective of rebranding is not just the rhetoric itself, but the main objective is for us to satisfactorily stimulate demand. Now let me just put this across to you. By virtue of our rebranding efforts, today, if the mandate rights and responsibilities of costing and cost management of engineering projects is completely considered to you. We do not put foods on the tables of every one of us that is seated here. And that is part of what the branding is going to. It's not only an exercise, it is a tactically determined and conceptualized program that has salvaged so many organizations all over the world. Not only in NIQS, not only in Nigeria, but everywhere.
Where the redneck lizard, after jumping down from a tree, said if nobody would praise him, he would praise himself. And you see him nodding all the time. Now, let me say that if you pick up, say if you're able to pick up, say 3-4 Nigerian newspapers once a week, you are probably going to find commentaries or inserts about the quality surveyor more than you will find any other professionals in the built environment. We have all of our leaders in the profession to praise for it. The point I'm making is that there is already so much going on to try to promote the quality surveyor. Somebody tried to compare us with the land surveyor. I can tell you nobody talks about land surveyors anymore, in spite of there being so very strong in ministries on the budget line. Land surveyors are beginning to change their names to geographic, GIS practitioners, because nobody is coming to them as land surveyors anymore. Yeah. To bring us to the point that the president just made, I would still say that strategic decision makers on projects will almost always bring in the quantity surveyor. We'll go to the quantity surveyor, no doubt about that. Our problem is migration to other aspects of construction, heavy engineering, civil engineering, and things like that. With that, the first thing that we must take into account is professional honesty. You know, it's easy to want to grab, but first and foremost, you must have the skills set to take on these jobs and to do it competently in such a way that you glorify every single one of us who call ourselves quantity surveyors. That is where you will have to begin to praise and thank people like Femi Balogun and President of the QSRB and previous presidents of NIQS for the efforts that they're making in that direction. It's not enough to want to do something just because you're a quantity surveyor. You have to have the skills set to deliver and deliver properly. A lot of the times, for instance, we want to do M&E, whatever, MEP. You know, when it's given to you, can you do it and do it competently? If you take on civil engineering, if you take on heavy engineering, can you do it competently? A lot of the times you have to go the extra mile to train yourself and to acquire the skills set to do this and do it properly. Billboards, everything will depend on the kind of project. A lot of developers will engage maybe an outside architect or engineers. And most times we'll probably have a few QSCs within their ranks. And you will find they will see no need perhaps to put that on board. They will give their own names instead of, if they have a QS consultant, there is no reason they will not put his name on the board. So we do have to consider all of that. A lot of the times, the reason this also happens is because the requirement usually is for line approval and strength of the construction. So you have a situation where everybody wants to see that there is a competent structural engineer, for instance, supervising a project, and that there is an architect who designed and obtained line approval for that. That should not in any way make us think that we're being shortchanged or undermined or whatever. Of course, the visibility will be all right, but you need to develop skill set. More quantity surveyors need to become, for instance, project managers, where you have strategic skills across board. And you can discuss architecture, you can discuss civil engineering, you can discuss structural engineering, you can discuss MEP. And so you are able to properly project manage. And you begin to even be the one to engage architects, structural engineers, and others to projects. So, you know, think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I also advise in the branding to the QSOBN and NIQs, because there's a gap which needs to be filled, a very, very important gap. And I think if we attempt to fill it, there will be a progress. That is what are the institute doing to penetrate in the public service. Because if it is all about lobby, we see the president of the Nigerian Engineers as a permanent secretary. So that is a level they have achieved. It used to be the NIA. There was a director, that is by name Omar Ali, director of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. He was the president of the NIA then. So what is the NIQS or QSBN doing to see to the penetration? We have those in the high level. We have, for example, the PPP chairman. We have the director, public building, investment and housing. We should create a permanent seat without any election or whatever, that will lead or that will be a lead where we need to have contact with the government. This will help in no small measure. I'm saying this because I'm a civil servant. I reached the level of director of public business. And I know areas where the civil society will play a role in giving a progress to any profession. As we used to have computers, the architect, the engineers, whatever. So this is the question or the comment.
President, Quantity Surveyors Registration Board, Nigeria, President and IQS, President of Castro, all members of the high table. I consider it pertinent to make some observations. I am not very edgy, as many of you would be about these things. I have been what I can be in quantity surveying. There is nothing else I can do. I will only be pretending if I say there is something else I want to do. I was telling them the other day that when I entered quantity surveying, it was the imperial system then, where you say 4 feet 6 times 5 feet 6. And then you say 4 times 4. Inch times that one. Takes quite a long thing. So I am a bit tired at this point in time. But let me tell you that quantity surveying is British. The English people, they started it. And they are the people who all of us looked up to. They are very conservative people. But quantity surveying has done well there. They've not probably done the way we have done here. But because they have what is called integrity, that makes the difference to them. They have been able to hold their position, and people use them because of that one. I got to the UK. It was in my third year in the UK that they said they were doing 100 years of quantity surveying in the United Kingdom. Even at that time, when some people say, I'm a quantity surveyor, somebody will wonder whether that is the name of a newly discovered tropical disease or the name of the profession. For all that time, but then you had people, they were doing very well. When they considered the credit worthiness in the United Kingdom in 1974, taking some people like parliamentarians, the lawyers, self-employed architects and quantity surveyors at the very top as 20. Quantity surveyor was placed there at that level. And quantity surveyors earn more than any other professional except the architects in the construction industry. And there, people are honest. I know that for 14 months, when I was doing industrial attachment, I was with a quantity surveying firm that specialized in civil engineering quantities. And so he served both contractors and government. There, it was infra dignitate for a chartered quantity surveyor to work for a contractor. But this man was Institute of Quantity Surveyors. He was one of the biggest in the United Kingdom. And the letter Vasily gave me to him to work in his office. What I discovered then, in that place, the civil engineers who do the design of roads, bridges, and all that, some of them employ quantity surveyors who do the quantities for them. And there are also some quantity surveyors who also have some engineers who might also help them in areas where they are deficient. As you heard him saying, it is always good for us that we can do this, we can do this, but perhaps when it comes to the text, we are not able to do it. I have had some experience in quantity surveying. There was a time I had to represent a client abroad in a place where quantity surveying was not part of the tradition. And then they presented the whole thing to me in Geneva. That was when we were considering the Transcorp Hilton. They were going to replicate what they had in Geneva in Abuja here. They had 340 room units. And then this one we have here times 3, 1,020 room unit. They gave me all the costs in which they used for building that one. I was required to go and negotiate the cost of the project on behalf of Nikon, that was the owner of that project. What did I do? I had to take some precaution. I got some advice from structural engineers who advised me on things like what you require in terms of reinforcement. I got some advice from services engineers who gave me advice in terms of things like AC, lifts and all that. And then that was the way I stood up to the other side. While they had all their people, it was only myself standing up to them. So quantity surveying, I said, a great profession where we have some knowledge of every other thing. There is no other profession that has that kind of background which we have as quantity surveyors. We didn't seem to know what quantity surveying, the name was all about. At the time they went, but I don't think it made any difference. Here in Nigeria, some of us are set there, some of us have image problems. Now, quantity surveyors don't inspire confidence at all.
The definition of QSEs and all these other things not incorporated in the law. But we have to understand that there's a difference in power between a law and a regulation. One has a greater power than the other. So what they are doing, other bodies are doing, for instance, engineers, is an amendment to the existing law, not a regulation. Because if we have a conflict between what we have put, what Korean has in their own as a law, against our own as a regulation, their own will override our own. So I want to suggest that we should try to find a way to make all these issues that have been done under regulation as an amendment, in which case it carries the full weight of the law. Thank you so very much for what you are doing, sir.
When he was making his presentation, the man said that he's rebranding NIQS. And I think there are two ways to it. Is there NIQS we are rebranding? And Mr. President also said that the ways of operation of NIQS, they want to transform it. Fine. So we are rebranding NIQS, then we also rebrand the profession. So the two should go together, not only NIQS that should be rebranded. Now the second thing is that the thing that is helping us to rebrand, do we have quantity surveyors amongst them? The team. Because if there is no QS, if none of our members is there, they can't help us out. Because they can't know us more than we know ourselves. So our members should be part of the team that is helping to rebrand. Another thing is that Mr. President mentioned the fact that we have like 200 inductees yesterday. And if you take a survey of those of them that are gainfully employed, you will see that they are very, very human. And President Abato said that we have food on our table, not for the majority. I need to speak for the younger ones. Sincerely speaking, they are not gainfully employed. And we don't do something now, we will lose them to other professions, even outside the business environment. And what we are saying is that in this rebranding, we should not only focus on the organized sector. We should not only focus on the formal sector. We should look at the informal sector. The population of Nigeria is like 200 million. And we have the majority at the lower class. So we have the low class, the medium class, the high class. They have the low class, we have so many people there. And that is where we have idle money. So how do we tap into the grassroots to give employment to the younger ones? Because these younger ones, they cannot compete with the likes of CEP, they cannot compete with the likes of associate course for Dotans, L5. So they are just coming up. So for us to encourage them, we should find ways of getting them employment. And one way I think there is a group of people that we have been thinking about it, that the best way that we can tackle this problem is to get a big pass by the House of Assembly, sorry, House of Rep, even at the state level too. That if we make at the grassroots, we don't need this of quantity. They need schedule of materials. You can make the documents will be fair. Part of the approval documents, like for architecture now, you need to get the approval from the architect. You use your skills, you use your stamp. For the land surveyors, they use their whatever, they still and stamp. And for our own skills and stamp, those are collected there yesterday. For them not to keep their skills and stamp in the wardrobe, they need to use them. So if we can just start the process now, we know it's a long process, let's start it now and get that big part that for you to get approval for your buildings, you should get maybe schedule of materials, and we have good reasons to back it up. One of them is that for us to prevent abandonment of projects, you need a QS. We all know the environmental hazard that abandoned projects, cause in society. So we could now list, we can go on and on, to list the reasons to back it up. Let's start it. That's my own view. Thank you.
Some of us that are quantity surveyors in the military or in the army should have opportunity to be attending every activities of the quantity surveying. That is the reason why most of us, in the army, we are many quantity surveyors. But you can see that we are only few that we are members. Most of us have not been given the opportunity to come and be attending the program to get us registered. So please help us in that aspect. Secondly, the issue of certificate, NIPS certificate. I observed something that it really disturbed me. After passing through rigorous academic exercise from the university to come out with a degree, and then before you become a member, you pass through exams and other things before you pass, and then the certificate will come after you check the certificate before that awarded diploma. It's believed that the inferiority complex started from there. You cannot bring the certificate out within the architects or engineers' friends and say, well, you are awarded diploma. I can remember when I took my certificate to my commander, happily I'm now a member NIQS, you saw a diploma. Oh, okay, you are now a diploma holder in quantity surveying. So please, the rebranding should start from there. Third, yes, please, enforcing quantity surveying patronage. In this aspect, I suggest we can bring in dialogue into this issue now. That is by dialoguing with our other professionals to establish National Construction Project Task Force, which should include the police, the army, the fire service, and the other professionals, so that any project that is seen somewhere, this task force, anywhere, not even in Abuja, all over the country, it should be, the quantity survey should push for the establishment of this agency. If it is done like that, it will reduce this issue of collapse of building, abandonment of building due to lack of patronizing QS, and quantity surveyors will also get opportunity to be patronized. Thank you very much.
Sorry, good afternoon. Having our meetings. But you see, there's a danger here. We need to understand what our problem is before we can move on. Professionals everywhere drive their authorities in three places. Professional authority from their knowledge and skills. Moral authority, which we have not been emphasizing and is the most important one. Moral authority from their ethics and conduct. And then legal authority from the legislators. Now, the professional authorities is what the academics are taking care of. They are giving us knowledge and skills. The moral authority is what the regulatory bodies are charged with. Rules and regulation that controls and maintain the standard in the organization. The legal authority is what you people are trying to get, but I don't know, nobody has clearly defined it. That is the one you can get from the policymakers. So you really have to realize this relevance and patronage you're looking for has to start on each of these authority bases. Rebranding is a very easy thing to do, but it's just going to be a fact that will pass away. You have your conferences, but nothing will last. What will last is a very long, arduous dialogue with your students, your academics, and your regulators. And please, attend to all the three authorities. Moral, through your regulatory bodies. Professional, through your training. Because nothing has been mentioned. I think I will speak with the regulators after, because there is no time. There's so little emphasis. It's just mentioned in passing, the moral authority. And everybody mentions do the right thing, ethics of the profession, but there is no coordinated, integrated response to how that will be attained to promote your profession. So moral authority, professional authority, and legal authority, which is what you're all saying, we have to get them to include us by force. No, there has to be a strategic approach. And there is no strategy. Rebranding is it's beautiful thing, but it's not going to last. And it's not going to make a lasting impact because you're not attending, you are not approaching the student. Socrates say virtue could be taught. And those people that are not doing the right things is because they have not been taught. So we can have skills and knowledge, but we really need to teach and embed within our training the ethics and the virtue, the attitude and the right behaviors. That is the moral authority. That is very important, much more sometimes than the professional, which we say could be obtained from the internet or from apprenticeship. But we need specific professional specialization.
Certificate. The diploma means certificate. And you, past President Emewele said, this is a petition. That diploma is written on it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's the ignorant of the commander who doesn't distinguish between the language diploma and the certificate. So, but I know in all the certificates issued by NIQS, in those days it used to be associate. Now it's member. So member is boldly written. You are now a member, a corporate member. So that diploma means that this instrument is not qualifying you as a member. That's what it means. So I think that if there is causing problem for some people, the rebranding you can now restructure the certificate, but it doesn't matter really what it is. Now, before I hand over to other colleagues, I want to answer Malogo's issue of budget line. If you know, and I think Mr. Emele made it clear, when you look at the history of the journey of the professions, we're all starting differently, or all started differently. When I was standing there to welcome people, I was a bit moody because I didn't have my morning coffee. But I still said that our profession is a restless one. And I think we've all said it here, because we keep expanding the frontiers because our hands in so many parts and we are experts or some bit of expertise in many fields. So it's a bit restless. But you see, the other professions started, the other regulatory bodies started as branches of the Federal Ministry of Works. At that time, the Public Works Department. The engineers in the Public Works Department organized a desk that will regulate the practice of engineering. So it was budgeted for right from takeoff. The Surveyors Registration Council came out from the Office of Surveyors General of the Federation, and it had a budget line from the beginning. Now, but the other five, the Architects Registration Council, the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, TOPREC for town planners, and then the SBOMO, the Surveyors, and our own QSRBN, all started from fresh as an act, mostly pushed by the institutes themselves. And so the institute at one time was actually underwriting the expenses of the QSRBN. So it's now that the government is appropriating us by sometimes sending some government staff to come and work with us and so on. But there are efforts, and that's what we want to make clear. There are efforts made. I've been to the budget office several times. In fact, there was a time, one of the directors in the budget office was quite severe. He just retired. He pushed. Unfortunately, the director of budget of the Federation is an accountant who said, why are people pushing? ICANN is not on budget line, and ICANN regulates. But ICANN is like RICS, where the institute and the regulators are merged. In our own case, the regulators are not by the institute. Maybe one day, the NIQS and QSRB will merge, and then we'll have the institute as the regulators, and then we'll have a desk or division for regulation. Maybe that will make it easier. But for now, we are pushing. We've been to the National Assembly several times. In fact, from the period of when Alufai was president, I know Bukar Abba was a senator, and I think through Abbato at that time, we were pushing. And every year till this year, we'll push at the National Assembly, we'll push at the Budget Office. The Ministry of Works and Housing had written that, look, please include these people. But you see, the way the budgets are made in this country is that they look at last year's budget and slash or increase marginally. So anything new, we find it difficult to penetrate. And now if we had anything new in the budget, in the first go, what they said, look, reduce your budget by 25%, all new things go. Silent inclusions that came.
Thank you, Mr. President, sir. I will quickly respond to the benchmarking of us. I wouldn't mention the names because in benchmarking and strategy implementation. So let's leave it that way. What are the parameters we are looking at? Performances, processes, strategy, and competitive benchmarking of those organizations. To rebranding consultants, minimum of 3 young but very vibrant members. To prove a point, the data collection instruments designed by that committee, by the ad hoc committee, and then it will now be made available. We want to spread out. We've gone to Air Force, and then we have invitation to visit the Inspector General of Police. And the last time, we had over 30 reportage in the media, in the newspapers, television and radio, some of them international. This is to tell you that we have two very important components, namely change management and corporate governance, of change of attitude in all of us, and it will now come to stay. I think I've understood the level.
I think we should, the new set of presidents have taken it upon themselves. We have the QS. If we want to beat them, then we must go into specialization. And Dr. Ahmed spoke of authority. Knowledge and skill is the weapon you audit. There are quite a large number. Heavy engineering, if you become expert in this through acquisition of knowledge, move up the ladder through skill and knowledge authority. That is what gives the profession the bite and the
public service. And one of the notes we took is to push to write self-governance. When I was looking at, we're going to write the MDS, both at state and federal level, that program. So there's one here at the back, and well,
are there. Those that are to serve will be happy with the situation. That is one. And also on budget lines, if we have tried to the budget office and go, and it's not working, some of our members are in the House of Rep and they are senators. That's what we call padding. If they pass for us too, I think it's allowed. They can do padding to include it as part of our own.
In the Federal Civil Service, I want to comment on acts and regulations, and then construction of professionals. Now, regarding acts and regulations, you see, there is no act that is complete and comprehensive. Now, in every act, you will find a provision which says that regulations can be made to enhance the law. So, there is nothing new about regulations. Regulations, every act has a provision for making regulations conform to the act. So I think we should not bother ourselves about having acts, and then the acts regulate do not conflict with the act. It always goes in line with the act. That's the way. Now, about construction consulting companies, you see, when I was in Ministry of Works, I made this proposal. That we have so many engineers, so many architects, but then you see Nigeria is being built by expatriates, by foreign companies. What will stop government in encouraging Nigerian professionals to come together so that they will be supported by, now we have long-term infrastructure, so that contracts, our capital projects will be done by Nigerian companies, fields are made up of these professionals. So that we build Nigeria, we make all the mistakes in the world, but then at the end of the day, we'll apply the expertise that we can export to other countries in West Africa, and then eventually Africa. You see, what we are fighting in the present sentiment is just a small part. We are able to push this, and I believe NIQS and the QSRB will come together and take the lead in bringing other professionals together so that we cooperate and collaborate in pushing for Nigerian professionals to succeed. It's not easy to really get the industrial capital without the support of government and Nigerians to get as many companies as possible that will create jobs and then take the economy to the next level. If we can do this, believe me, sky is our limit. Thank you.
Should have been a member of the YQS, and they are doing very well there. So I think that we should encourage their activities at chapter levels. I know the national is doing well, so they will on our behalf do that. So there's no problem there. We will wind up so that we collect the certificates and other things before the Professor Bagarfi
proved that we're going to liaise with all institutions offering quantity survey, that a validity ceremony will hold in each institution offering quantity survey for their final year students. And at that validity session, somebody from NIQS local chapter resident there will go and address the final year students on the pathway to their professional qualifications and to formally welcome them to the profession. So I want to believe that we will have taken care of them going to the camp. I hope I'm right. Thank you.
To inform all the ladies that waxing is there for them, and we are ready to carry them along in all the activities of NIQS. We want to let them practice, because usually we have so many women that study quantity surveying. At the end, they end up maybe going into business. We are saying that business, we want business actually, but then they need to practice. We need to show our relevance in the construction industry. We have women here that have excelled. We need more women to excel. So please, those of us that have just been registered with the Quantity Surveyors Registration Board, they should not go and keep their seal or refuse to practice, because I know that most of us, we find it difficult to go to the construction site to do what we are supposed to do as quantity surveyors. Please, go out. Don't let our brothers, say we don't know what we studied. We need to practice. We need to take our profession to great heights. So please, make yourself relevant in the construction industry. Thank you. Please, sorry, the investiture and inauguration of the ESCO members of Women Association of Quantity Surveyors comes up tomorrow in Chelsea Hotel. The program starts by 8 and ends by 5 p.m. Please, I'm urging all of us here, both the maxing and the waxing, to be present at the program.
And attend the workshop slated for April 15th and 16th in Kaduna, and witness the launching of the rebranding roadmap by no other person than His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State. The rebranding document is there for you to look at it, but then more will depend on what persons are going to discuss and talk during that program. For strategic reasons, We are not going to put everything inside the roadmap, but most of them will now be discussed during interactive session at the workshop. You are all invited, and this is to serve a notice and availability of information that the workshop titled Projects and Construction Projects and Contract Management, Benchmarking International Best Practices is scheduled for 15th to 16th April in Kaduna, and during which the rebranding roadmap will be launched. Thank you so very much, and we appreciate this opportunity.
The profession seems to be growing. It's heartwarming. The challenges are surmountable for each and every one. You need to be steadfast, focused, and have this can-do spirit, and you become a very good QS. The field is large and big, and you can create a niche for yourself on this field. So I wish everyone who are picking up their papers and documents all the best in their future career path.
Dr. Amir's, in the way he drew attention to the authorities. On the moral authority, the board will do his best. On the professional authority, where the educators forum are doing that. But I think on the legal authority, what's probably saying is that we should intensify our interface with politics, either as participants or through heavy lobbying. So I think we should note that, and I think the leadership, when I say leadership at all levels, at chapter levels, at sector levels or whatever, should try and engage into a dialogue with the political leadership. So with this note, I'll call Annette to come and thank all of us for being here, and also to please pass a message through you to those who are not here that we are very serious about publishing these names on the 1st of May. So those who are not here can still make up by paying their own portion of the dues and for the annual assembly and for their licenses. What they will miss and what we have gained is this interaction, but they will still have to pay. Thank you very much.
Very conscious of time, but I would just like to offer very, very brief closing remarks. On behalf of the Quantity Surveyors Registration Board of Nigeria, we wish to thank all of you that have traveled far and near to be here present over the past 2 days. We know that it is always a challenge for us to find time out of our busy schedules to be a part of this annual assembly. But we also equally know how important it is, how we need to develop ourselves, how we interact, and how we network, most importantly. We want to thank all our delegates. We want to thank all our dignitaries, all our resource persons, and even our inductees who have joined this great family. What we have learned with regards to technology, with regards to innovation, with regards to technology and ethics, we cannot undermine and we cannot be shortchanged. We have dialogued, we have expressed, we have come together and we have worked minds. And we hope that you will take at least something away from this annual assembly to be used in your further field of not just your clients, but also how you practice and what you do in your daily lives as professionals. Once again, we say thank you to all of you, and we hope that you will keep the flag flying and also the ambers of discussion burning, because I think we are beginning to make an impact, and it is clear to see from all that has been said today and over yesterday as well, that we are making inroads into various bodies, into various institutions, into various areas and every nook and cranny, but we mustn't rest. The good fight must continue. So once again, on behalf of the board, we wish to say a very big thank you to all of you. We wish you safe passage on your journeys back, and we hope to see you all again in larger numbers, much larger numbers, next year. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The points again for you. For registered quantity surveyors, is between A and G, left side of the stage. From your point, the left side of the stage is that way, right?
That was how